leave it in.
Yeah, we can leave that in. And with that being said, that's a great cue to our intro here for the Fantasy Flavor Podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Dylan. You may know me as Dylan, and I'm joined here with two lovely gents by the name of.
You forget us already. Come on,
Yeah.
it hasn't been that long.
I was kind of hoping you'd introduce yourselves, but we can just chill here if you want.
Yeah, hi, this is Sanatan, and that's Trenton.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Um,
So, what are we talking today?
I don't
Dylan.
know. We're doing some new stuff here because I don't know, man. We wanted to be different, so we have a new podcast platform. No, we're still on the same platform, but we do have a new format. We have a few special segments here, and we're going to kind of be conducting a show like that. Should be fun. So I'm not going to tell you the name of the segment. I will tell you the name of the first segment, though. If you want to know the other segments, you have to stay tuned. But we're going to be doing our fantasy freakout. So what's a fantasy freakout? The dud performance. Are we worried? Pretty simple, right, boys?
Yeah.
All right.
Are we freaking out or not? Should we freak out or not?
Yeah.
Should you freak out or not? And that's the whole point of this segment.
Yeah. How worried are you?
Is
1 out of 5
freaking out
footballs.
overrated?
So here's the question: Is this freak out going to be for redraft or dynasty, or are we covering both?
You can cover whatever you want, boys. I don't know. It just depends on the player, I think. So, for example, Michael Thomas, our first one in the name. Redraft, he probably freaking out more than Dynasty, right? Because he's injured.
Yeah.
And he's shocked. Injured and shocked. Damn, he should have ran more slants. But, no, I mean, a high ankle sprain is pretty concerning for redraft outlook. I don't know.
For dynasty too.
Dynasty, yeah.
Like his value will go down. That's in dynasty. I know that people always say long game, but every week the value changes, and if someone is not available for a few weeks, the value goes down, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
So if there are some people who are still high on Thomas, probably entertain some offers.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is already kind of a sell high. So if you held on to him now, don't sell him. Because I feel like that's the whole premise of like the segment. Like, you know what I mean? If Michael Thomas is on your roster, you should fucking keep him because that's why you didn't sell him before.
Yeah, you should have sold him before, but now I don't think it is a good time to sell.
Yeah.
But if someone is high, there are some people who are like, oh, this is a good chance to buy Michael Thomas, and probably they might give a better price. Who knows?
Trent, I have a question for you. I feel like the injury is one thing, but he also had a really, really bad performance versus the Bucks. A really bad passing defense, where they were ahead, which is fair to say, but the game was close enough to the point where they just weren't running at 50. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Rams ran it a lot in their game. So are you concerned about his passing volume if he does come back healthy, with now sharing with Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara?
What was concerning to me in week 1 was the target ratio. You look at the target ratio, you had, I believe Drew Brees had somewhere around 24, 25 pass attempts. And he completed, I don't remember. It was like not nearly that many as you would think that Drew Brees would, the guy who's the completion percentage god. But you had Michael Thomas had 5 targets compared to you had Jared Cook, who had 7. Alvin Kamara had 8. Emmanuel Sanders, their supposed wide receiver 2, tied Michael Thomas with 5 of his own targets. And it's just concerning in that because you're looking at he was tied for 3rd on his team in pass attempts coming his way. So you definitely have to look at something. Is that something of concern? And the other thing is, I did say Drew Brees, his completion percentage was down. Could this be the down slope of Drew Brees' career? Could this be the season where he starts to go down?
No, I think Bucks. You're not giving enough credit to the Bucks defense. Bucks defense is good. Their pass defense was very good in last year. For the last 4 or 5 games, they improved a lot, and I think they have carried it over to this year. Their front seven is nasty, so probably that helps too.
Yeah, but
I don't think we have to freak out that much.
Yeah, if you're talking about like Michael Thomas though, like Drew Brees, fine. If you want to say the whole passing defense is pretty good, but there's not really a good corner there in Tampa Bay. You can still have a good defense without like a stud corner. And was it 3 catches for 18 yards? It was something 3 for 28. Wasn't it something like really low like that? Really?
I think it was 3 for 17. I think was
17.
one.
Oh, it might be 17. Anyways, the yard like don't matter. What matters is he sucked. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't want that, especially since he's the first wide receiver off the board. You know, you're taking him over running backs like Dalvin Cook and stuff potentially. So whatever. I think we can move
in
on.
most leagues, in a lot of leagues, he'd have been picked in the top 5 picks.
Yeah, you can't have that, especially
So,
from a wide
In
receiver.
Dynasty.
Yeah, in Dynasty.
In Dynasty, yes. Not in redraft, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Michael Thomas so consistent last season. What I will say is the targets are bound to go down before we move on here because he's not going to have another record-breaking season of receptions. I don't know. That'd be freaking crazy. And I think he like smashed Marvin Harrison's record too. It wasn't that close, so it was bound to come down. Like, let's be realistic. Moving on here.
Considering you only played like about half the snaps in week 17 last year and still broke the record by
It was
like
crazy last year.
8
Last year
catches.
was an anomaly because Breeze doesn't throw that much.
Great target.
So it had to come down anyways through Breeze itself. Anyways, I think we should move
Yeah,
on.
we should move on here. Next few guys are kind of interesting. Let's do Keenan Allen next. You know, I think there's a few Chargers here. I know we're talking about Keenan Allen, but Austin Eckler was a little concerning if you were high on his pass catching upside. I mean, the only guy that looked kind of decent to his ADP was like Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry looked fine. You know what I mean? He was like 5 catches, 80 yards. Mike Williams.
I'm so concerned about
Yeah.
Keenan Allen and not that much, but still a little bit for Austin Eckler. But yeah, Keenan Allen, he's such a great receiver, but Tyrod just sucks, man. Tyrod just knows one thing: either run for a few yards or chuck it deep. There is no intermediate stuff with him, or in the middle he will find his tight end. That's it. So it's a bit concerning for slot wide receivers and running backs. So I just hope they start Herbert or something else happens. I'm just very concerned about Keenan Allen.
And that's where you have to. In my take, I'm going to lump Keenan Allen and you mentioned Austin Eckler. I'm going to lump them together.
Sure.
And why Tyrod Taylor isn't good for them. It's like Sonatan said. Tyrod Taylor throws deep. Eckler is a short receiving back, scat back. You throw him out of the backfield. Sure, he had 18 touches for a good chunk of yardage, but he's not that player. He's the guy that you usually want to count on to get you 6 to 7 catches a week, get you those PPR monster points. That's what we saw last year.
Yeah.
But Keenan Allen, you think, okay, he's a wide receiver. He's not a scat back. You won't be throwing him out of the backfield. It shouldn't be an issue. No, Keenan Allen isn't a deep threat wide receiver. Keenan Allen is a crosser guy. He's a short route guy. He breaks his defenders, cuts across, and gets targets there. He's underneath. He's not a deep guy. So I mean, it is definitely going to be interesting to see what Mike Evans does, because Mike Evans, I feel like, is that team's deep guy. He's their deep threat. So, I mean, I know he's not fast, but yes, he's big, and he usually goes on those go routes when you watch him play. So I feel like he's definitely a name to monitor. But for now, until Justin Herbert, who I feel is almost the exact opposite of...
You meant Mike Williams, not Mike Evans.
Right, Mike Williams, sorry.
Yeah,
but once you get Herbert in there, he's basically the opposite of Tyrod. He likes to throw underneath. He'll air some out sometimes, and there'll be good balls. But when you watched him play in college, he threw it underneath a lot. But once he gets in there, I feel like both their values will go up a lot. But as long as Tyrod Taylor is under center, it's going to be very concerning for me.
Yeah, and they have Kansas City coming up, and if Keenan does well, probably good time to sell and see what you can get.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have a few points about each guy that I want to ask Trent, just a question that we've talked about before in the pod. So Keenan Allen probably concerns me the most out of these guys, just because, like, obviously Tyrod's not going to throw it that much. He likes to scramble. thinks he'll throw it deep. Now, I think Keenan Allen can do some stuff deep. Definitely more of like a route running intermediate guy, though. I agree with that point. That's a great point, Trent. But it's just concerning because even if we go to Herbert, last time like a rookie quarterback produced like wide receiver 2 numbers or better for like their wide receiver, it happened like once this past decade. So that's like, it doesn't happen often. Rookies quarterbacks have a hard time beating their wide receivers enough to be very dominant fantasy wise. It's normally volatile because they're going all around the field. You know, they kind of struggle to force feed them efficiently.
Absolutely.
At least. So that's concerning for Keenan Allen. So I definitely think his value is already low, and I bought him in a damn league, and I almost bought him for 2 firsts because someone told me to. Luckily, I didn't. I bought him for a first and a second. So I don't know. He could be someone to flip after a big week. Second point about Austin Eckler, though. I don't know. Trenton said on the pod. I'll ask Trenton this question now. Do you think Austin Eckler is still going to catch 100 balls this year? After you've seen week 1, do you still think he's going to do it? I'm going to give you one chance to cop out.
I definitely think he won't get to 100 anymore, just because I don't know how long Tyrod Taylor will be under center. Once Justin Herbert's under center, I do think he gets that 6-7 targets, maybe 8 targets a game again. But with Tyrod Taylor, he's just not going to throw enough to Eckler. However, I will admit, I was pleasantly surprised. I did not expect. I expected Eckler to get a decent workload out of the backfield, but I didn't expect him to get 18 rushing attempts. So that was nice.
A career high. I am a little concerned about Eckler, though. 1, because of that. I'm going to upset here at the end. 2, because of Josh Kelly, who we almost talked about on the podcast. He's not on our name today to talk. I don't want to bring him up too much, but he had a decent amount of the workload. You know, I believe it was 18 to 11 carries or something like that.
I think 12 carries.
12 carries.
Yeah, 50, 60 yards.
Yeah, 60 yards and a ton. I think he had a
touchdown. Yeah.
So he's probably the goal line back, which sucks for Eckler's upside, 1, because he had touchdowns. A lot of his touchdowns weren't from the goal line. They were far out. And those are hard to maintain year to year. Those aren't very sticky, if you will. They don't repeat year to year.
I believe he had 3. He only had 3 rushing touchdowns last year. So I believe even if Josh Kelly does take a lot of those rushing touchdowns, he still had most of his touchdown performance came in the receiving game. So I feel like
it is pointless to discuss rushing stats for Eckler. It is pointless. Like his whole money down is catching the ball. If that's not happening, he's not worth it. That's the bottom line.
He's practically like Derrick Henry, but he isn't Derrick Henry at all. You know.
I don't know why they.
I feel like he's still a decent flex option every week.
Yeah,
he has a safe floor.
And
until Justin Herbert gets in. And then he goes
get
back
more
up
catches.
to
There will be no weeks with 0 catches anymore. There will be no weeks with 0. They will go back. They will look at the tapes. They will be like, "What are we doing?" He should he should get at least 3, 4 catches. Maybe not 7 or 8, but 3, 4 is there.
Okay, here's my final point on Eckler, and then I think we should move on. Versus Kansas City, I believe his past 4 games on Twitter, I read he's averaged 7 plus catches. So if it doesn't happen versus Kansas City next week, especially considering they're going to be down probably in that game, and I honestly expect the Chargers to be down a lot, which is how come I'm kind of concerned about how he didn't get any catches because the game was close and whatever. Anyways, if it doesn't happen versus Kansas City, it's safe to say it's not going to happen at all, at least with Tyrod Taylor. With Herbert, I don't know. Things are crazy with Herbert. I don't know what to expect from that dude.
I'm going to throw in a bold take.
Sure.
I think that the Chargers are going to be down so much in the at the end of the third quarter already that they'll start Herbert for the entire fourth quarter. It'll be our first attempt at, or first time seeing Herbert in the NFL this week.
I don't think they did that after a week. I think it's better for them, and I hope they realize it's better to let Herbert develop because he was very raw at Oregon.
They're just going to put him in for that garbage time, I think, just to like give him some, because he didn't have preseason. So fourth quarter could be his preseason.
I think we should not discuss bold takes. Bold takes are there for takes. You know, he said it. We'll bash him after the week. Let's not discuss a bold take.
Yeah, watch.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, we should definitely move on. Joe Mixon.
If Austin
Always
Eckler was
concerned.
bad in week 1 by your guys' standards, his opponent running back Joe Mixon was dog shit.
Dog shit. Now you're just trying to get a reaction. Okay, Joe
little
Mixon.
bit,
It
but
was.
he really was very, very underwhelming for a guy that you guys expected to be. Or I know one of us in this podcast room right now had him in the top 5 running backs. So I mean, yeah, hide all you want, but the facts are
I
still
mean,
there. You can't
the
run from the
concern,
truth.
the concern that I had with Mixon came true. That has always been the concern, and that will be the concern. Is that Bengals are not using him the right way. I mean,
Mhm.
top 3 talent, agreed. Top 5 talent, agreed. But Bernard was there for every 2 minutes drill and all third downs. You saw, Dylan. We had a long debate about this.
Mhm.
See what happened. Same thing.
Well, I will say one thing, boys. So grab my thumb drive here. There's a silver lining. Now, was that a shitty performance? Fuck yeah, that was dog shit. Absolute dog poo poo. Okay, I like Joe Mixon, but that doesn't stop me from making the right fantasy take. That's something that's important to me. You guys know that. But
What is the silver lining?
it was interesting because Joe Mixon ran the most routes he's ever run that game. And not only that, he actually ran more routes than Gio Bernard. So I do think, even though the upside's cap, they used him a little more as a pass catcher, or at least running routes.
Yeah,
Baby
they
steps.
should.
Baby
They should.
steps. So I understand it's a bad rushing performance, but if he's running more of those routes, maybe, hopefully Joe Burrow can pretend he's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and check down a little bit more. Because that's good for him. He has actually stepped up in that game, even though the receptions didn't look like it.
Offensive line,
Mm.
just like the next guy on the list, if they can fix that offensive line. But if they can fix the offensive line, I believe that he is going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
He
But
will be
that's
a
what's
lot
holding
better.
it back more than anything.
We should not worry about the box score. He got the carries. The only problem is his upside. Always
Yeah.
has been and always
Mhm.
will be. That's the
It's
problem. I mean,
capped.
I'm not looking at 60 yards. That's fine. Every running back has a bad day. He's a great running back. He will recover. Burrow will get more comfortable. This offense will be better.
Mhm.
Chargers have a great defense too. So you have to give some credit to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about that. I'm always worried about the upside, and that was the debate. Actually, I don't think they are letting Bernard just sit there and have Mixon like 5-6 catches. That's the problem. I mean, Gruden at least changed his ways and gave Jacobs some passing
Yeah,
work.
so far.
I
Jason's
doubt
great.
these guys are
Mhm.
I doubt these guys are going to use Mixon that way. And Mixon is amazing.
Yeah, Mixon's so good. So
Yeah,
I want to
anyway.
see, does this route running, does this more routes run? Is it like just this week, or is it more? Because if it's more, then hopefully he'll start getting targeted more as he's getting more opportunity. I will say the one thing to counteract that point, just because I like transparency, is the Bengals didn't have many third downs. So if Gio Bernard is just strictly that guy they bring in just on third downs, then maybe that makes sense of why. But I don't, you know what I mean? Even though he's like a third down back, you assume he'd bring him in on other downs to spell. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Whatever. We'll see. It was an interesting week for Mixon. He remains to be probably one of the safer options just based off the volume. Kind of like
And
Eckler.
not only third downs, he also was their 2-minute drill back. And
Yeah.
most of the receptions are during the 2 minute, when shorter routes, they just want to save time, out routes for the running back, so you get more catches in 2 minutes drill.
But definitely the
That's the
Josh
problem.
Jacobs, definitely the Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon debate. I took the fattest of elves, and I'm not sitting here making excuses. I don't think there's been one excuse for me tonight. I'm a man, so I'm taking it. So Snotton, one fantasy analyst to another. Good job, dude, so far. Hopefully, I can still
Thanks.
be right, but shit happens.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Mixon. Hopefully, you are right.
Yeah, I like Josh
I will
Jacobs
say
too.
that.
I
Yeah,
hated when they brought in Theo Riddick, and that wasn't a good thing. I want 32 workhorses in the league. That way I can grab 6 running backs in a row, You guys know how I draft. We should move on here, though. Definitely. See, speaking of garbage offensive line and putting up fucking doo-doo, we had the guy who rushed less than Big fucking Ben. Motherfucking Saquon fucking free my man Barkley. I'm starting a petition, boys. What do we have to say about this guy?
Nothing. Steelers are great.
Yeah,
There
Steelers
is
look great.
no concern at all. If someone is facing the Steelers and if they are not catching passes, don't start that running back, please.
Mhm.
It's just not worth it. I mean, Saquon saved himself because of those 6, 8 catches. How
Mhm.
many were there?
It was 6,
I mean,
and he
he
had
had
2
6,
drops.
yeah.
2 drops too. It could have been 8.
Yeah, and he saved him with that. Otherwise, Steelers are just so good. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I have no
It
concerns
definitely-
about Saquon. Buy him if you can.
It definitely does have to do with that Saquon was going up against I believe the Pittsburgh defense is top 3 in the league. So that's definitely a really tough defense. But
Number one.
Okay, maybe. I'm just not putting it at that exactly just so I can give myself a little bit of room.
Yes.
But Saquon, I will say this, Saquon is still an explosive back. We see it's not Saquon. It wasn't Saquon's issue that he was getting hit as soon as he was handed the ball by 3 Pittsburgh defenders. I mean, that's not his issue. That's the offensive line stuff. We saw that he was still electric when he caught that screen pass
That was amazing.
in the middle of the second quarter and blew by almost the entire Pittsburgh defense for like a 30-plus yard gain.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get him in space. But I'm concerned that offensive line won't give him enough opportunities to get into space. So
yeah, I think if you want to do one positive here, just because I guess I'm a nice guy tonight, he had 6 catches, 2 drops, but I liked how they were using him. Jason Garrett, I think he has the most bland ass running plays I've ever fucking seen, especially because with Saquon, you want to get him on the outside because he's such a good accelerator. I think he might be the best accelerator at the running back position we've seen all time. To be honest, I don't. Trent probably disagrees with that because we always do, but he's just so fucking like.
I agree with that.
Even with the screen pass, that dude zoomed like he was gone. Anywho,
and one more play from him
Yeah.
that really stood out to me. It was for a loss of 1 yard, but that play where he took the ball and tried to break it outside, and he was running all the way to the sideline, and it was just the only problem. He could have cut up field. He passed 6 defenders almost getting to the sideline just because he's so explosive. And if there was not that 7th guy there, he would have cut up field and gotten a gain.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, yeah. There is no discussion about Saquon. Just buy him if you can.
Yeah.
I think we should move on.
Bye.
Yeah, we can definitely move on here. Just I do think his reception upside kind of went down when Daniel Jones took over last season. Remember, it was a lot higher with Eli Manning, partially because he got hurt, but he's getting targeted less per game. You can look at the numbers; it's true. I just feel like with Jason Garrett as a head coach and kind of how he used Zeke that one year when they didn't have many wide receivers back that year with Dallas, I feel like Saquon could hit that 100 catches again or that 90 plus catches again.
Yes.
Now, I didn't think he
think
could with Pat Shurmur. I think he can now. Anywho, let's move on. I'm gonna skip one of the names on here, guys, just because of time. Okay, the name next. I kind of want to do the name under, if that's okay, just because I feel like that's more important.
Okay.
We're good with that. All right, AJ Brown. This AJ Brown and Jared Goff. Will be honest. Jared Goff, I think, is less important. If you guys want us to talk about him next week, drop a comment. All right, because I feel bad. We got to move on. AJ Brown. Here's the concerning thing about AJ Brown. I'm gonna start it off and then I'll leave you guys finish it because I own him in a few leagues. He's had the past 4 games, he's had 100 total yards or something like that. That includes like the playoffs and that includes like this week 1. And it's just, it's concerning. It is concerning, you know. I think he's a stud player. Sonatin thinks he's a stud player. I think Trenton likes him, at least, fair to say, right? It's just been concerning, especially when Corey Davis like balls the fuck out like we expected him to the year AJ Brown took over. Corey Davis looked pretty good. I don't think now I don't know if they can do that all 16 games, but there's just like the passing volume's low. Is that concerning you guys?
No, actually not, because he got 8 targets. That's like if you multiply that by 16 games, it's just a lot more than he got last year. The problem is Tannehill was not great this week. He missed open throws to AJ Brown. In one of the,
Yeah.
I think in the end, uh,
Oh, the end zone.
he
Yeah.
no, AJ Brown was like running free and he did not even see him
Oh yeah,
and things
75
like
yard
that.
touchdown right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, and the problem is that Denver did not pose any challenge. I mean, not every week they will be fighting. Not every week they'll be winning by 60, scoring 16 points. So time will come when AJ Brown will be needed, and I think he's a bit hurt too.
Yeah.
Hamstring or something is happening. So I'm
Mhm.
not concerned at all. If someone is concerned, I am going to buy AJ Brown. 8 targets in this kind of a game is very encouraging. Very,
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
encouraging.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
on pace for like 128 in the season. It's a little low for me. I'd like my guys to be targeted more. What are you thinking, John?
Not for AJ Brown. AJ Brown was targeted like 70 times last year, or what, 80?
Yeah, but AJ Brown needs more targets to sustain that type of production he had this rookie year. That was fucking no. He's ain't averaging 20 yards per catch and all those
No,
TDs in that offense.
move the 20 yards to 12 yards, 14 yards. AJ Brown is not someone who is averaging 7 yards. Sorry to break your bubble, but
I
he
never
will
said he
at least
was.
average like 12, 14, 15 yards, maybe not 20. But if his targets are going like 1.5 times, from 60 to 120 is like double the targets. So everything looks better than last year.
Mhm.
Maybe just not the touchdowns. I'm just concerned about the touchdown. I'm not concerned about the yards or number of catches.
All right, what do you think, Trent?
Mhm. I absolutely agree with that. I think the targets are definitely there. So he's getting that volume still. It's just the production was kind of blah in week one. But I mean, he still is a very good player. The biggest issue I think with that is that he's in Tennessee, which is Derrick Henry's offense. They're going to run the ball. They're one of the top. They're like a top two. I think they were second behind only the Ravens in rushing attempts last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like they're a running team. They run the ball. So I mean, it's definitely his upside on the receiving and targets columns are always going to be capped as long as Derrick Henry's there. But I feel like he will still have much better weeks than this last week. And like you said, he did get blatantly missed when he was wide open deep downfield, which would have entirely changed his week. He would have had like over 100 yards on 6 catches and a touchdown. So that's
Just one more point about that. You are right. It's Derrick Henry's team. And last week, I mean, in week one, Henry ran for like 30 times.
31
Yeah,
31 attempts.
31 attempts.
And
It's not going more
Ryan
than that.
Tannehill had 2 and nobody else had any.
Exactly. So with 31 attempts, if AJ Brown is getting 8 targets in a game where they just had to score 16 points, how can the game script be worse than this? It cannot, right? And
I will say this.
did you notice that they are faster paced offense than last year? Their philosophy has changed a bit. They are not
Yep.
taking that total time. They are more fast in offense. So I think I'm not concerned at all about the capped what you are saying. I think 8 targets a game is very, very reasonable.
I will say this. If for some reason, like any NFL coaches are watching this, if you are playing the Titans and Derrick Henry is not in at running back for a play, they are not running the ball.
Yeah.
It is a pass.
Yes. Unless it's Tannehill running. I think
It's a pass or a scramble.
Yeah, I think that should conclude this segment.
Yeah.
Fantasy freak out. Not freaking out like a Karen on any of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
No,
should
no,
not.
no, no Karens
It's
here.
week one. Yeah.
Next segment is rookie recap. I'm gonna kind of change this up a little bit, if that's okay. I want to pose this question because it's a little bit
Sure.
different instead of talking about the last few guys. So I feel like there was a few rookie wide receivers. They kind of all had similar weeks, like at least like production wise. Jalen Rager only had 1 catch, but it was a 50-yard bomb. Henry Ruggs had like 3 for like 54 or something. He had like 1 40-yard bomb. CeeDee Lamb had 4 for 54. It might have been like 5 for like 60 or something. Jerry Jeudy had like 5 for 54. These are all estimates, by the way, not exact, but
Mm-hmm.
they were all kind of similar. Justin Jefferson, I guess, because people like him up there too, had 1 catch for 9 yards. That was the only one I feel like out of those top 5 guys, which were really bad, right?
Mhm.
Fair to say. So, which performance was the most encouraging to you guys? I want to kind of change the question and let you guys talk about who you want to talk about. That way, we don't have to break down more names than we need to.
I think mine and Trenton's name will be same, so I'll let Trenton speak first. You go ahead, and I'll go second.
You know me too well, don't you?
Because we both
Um,
like that guy.
It's
Go
Justin
ahead.
Jefferson.
Oh yeah. Woo.
1 catch,
No.
9 yards. Woo!
Henry Ruggs.
Yes.
Henry Ruggs was the explosive playmaker that I expected him to be. When he was drafted, fantasy analysts, including our very own Dylan Thomas, thought he was just a deep threat and wouldn't be there for fantasy purposes. While I said he's going to get that Tyreek Hill role. He's that playmaker. He's that dynamic. He's
What
not
do-
just a vertical threat.
What do you mean? I said. We said. Don't take all the credit. We
I
both
said
said.
okay. We said that Henry Ruggs was going to be that playmaker, and he proved that. He got, I believe, he had 5 targets. Don't quote me on that,
Yeah.
but it was like 4 or 5,
Mhm.
and he caught 3 of them for 50 some yards with that 40-yard bomb, and then he also had a rushing attempt for 13 yards. I think it was 13.
Whatever it is.
So it was clear though that like with that rushing attempt, they're going to try to get him the ball. You look at most other wide receivers in the league. You when you think of wide receivers that they're going to give rushing attempts, like any wide receiver that's going to get a rushing attempt, you think Tyreek Hill. You think maybe Robert Woods, because Robert Woods is Robert Woods, and he always seems to get 15 rushing attempts in a season.
You know who else though? N'Keal Harry, who averaged over 1 rushing attempt per game. I mean, you might as well throw him in there too.
Fine, but
So I had to.
I mean, it was clear that they wanted to get him the ball. And if it wasn't for that injury that he sustained, which is still kind of concerning for me, but if it wasn't for that injury that held him out for like most of the first half and definitely slowed him down in the second half, I feel like he would have had a much bigger game than he did, because they were using him quite a bit early on, and they were wanting to. It was clear they were wanting to get him the ball in space. So
Yes. So one stat which is very, very encouraging is that I think he had the highest percentage of air yards for his team out of all the receivers. I think it's more than 50% or something like that. So yeah, he was getting a lot of air yards. I mean, one of them he caught. So I think it's very encouraging. It's just his first game in the NFL, and Josh Jacobs just basically just blasted in the
Yeah.
scene in the first week. So there will be more
Right.
throws in the future, and I think Ruggs is just, his ceiling is going to be high, and floor too. I really
Yeah.
like it.
I will say though, Dylan, that I agree. You are right on Ruggs being a deep threat, because did you see how much compared to last year when teams facing the Raiders just stacked the box to try to stop Josh Jacobs? Did you see how little they did it this past week when they were, because they were so scared that Henry Ruggs was going to get behind them? I mean, I will give you that he is definitely a deterrent for teams.
Thank you. We'll still see. I think he does have high upside. We also agree in that part. If we're talking about things we agree with. I still think he's kind of risky. We'll see. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown had a big week 1, way bigger than this, and he kind of teetered off, albeit injury, although we might be dealing with the same kind of thing. Let's see how Ruggs is healthy first. That should be our first step. I just want to move on here and talk about my guy. So you both said Ruggs, right?
No,
Oh, you have a
he took
different guy.
he took Ruggs. So I just want to touch on CD Lamb.
Oh, that's mine too.
Unless,
So let's just we'll talk about
that's
them.
yours. So
Yeah.
go ahead, go
You
ahead.
just
So
taking
then
everybody's
then I'll talk about Jerry Judy. I'll
Sure.
talk
No love
about
for
Judy.
Rager. He had the longest catch. All right, that's fine. No,
I
CD.
mean,
Mhm.
that was just one catch. How much love can? I mean, I still like Rager. He's still my number 2
Yeah.
wide receiver from this
If
class.
Wentz
But
doesn't play like poo poo, he could have blown up more.
yeah,
Anyway, CD
when
Lamb.
go ahead.
It was just really cool. So he was their slot wide receiver 1.
Mhm.
Well, sorry, not like wide receiver. He was their slot wide receiver, 0.1, which is very good because we like those matchups. 0.2 is even though he was starting on snaps, he played pretty much all like the passing down snaps. So you want to talk about Derrick Henry not on the field, they're gonna pass. CeeDee Lamb on the field, they're gonna pass. So that was encouraging too. And I thought CeeDee Lamb had a really good game. I feel like
Yes.
like Trenton brought up this point on our podcast. The one thing I'm concerned about with CeeDee Lamb is his upside, especially like year one. The offense is crowded. Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper. I thought he honestly looked like one of the best wide receivers on his team. I thought he looked better than Cooper. Cooper never really impresses me. Sorry, Nathan. And Michael Gallup was fine. I mean, he kind of got robbed on a penalty, but I thought CeeDee Lamb looked really good for his first week. He looked explosive, looked solid route running. There's a reason he's my rookie wide receiver 1 if you check the spreadsheet, which I didn't actually. I thought Rager was one for me, but I checked it the other day, and I don't know, my ass put CD, and I'm going with it. So, I liked it a lot. I mean, any other thoughts about CD?
No,
He
I
definitely.
yeah,
Go ahead.
in Dallas, I think all three are equal, and that's the that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. Good thing is that CD has a high floor among the rookies at least, and the bad thing is that he has a low ceiling, because I think all three are going to have equal targets, equal. I mean, not when I say equal, not exactly equal, but similar targets, similar production. It's just that CD will might have less yards because he's a slot guy, and Cooper and Gallup are a little bit more deep. But I think they are not treating anyone like a wide receiver 1 in this team.
Mhm.
Everyone
I,
is being treated equally.
I want to point out one thing. It's kind of unrelated, but you did say that you think all three are equal. How about that the Atlanta Falcons having 3 wide receivers each with 12 targets
And 100
Because-
yards each.
and 100 yards?
Russell was cooking. And they just could not do anything about it. They had to cook themselves.
Oh, did he start?
We expected Julio to have a good game.
Yeah.
We expected Calvin Ridley to have a decent game, and then Russell Gage had the same targets as both.
Did
Because-
you start Ridley or Metcalf? By the way, you asked us, and we
I
both.
started Ridley. I started
Good.
Ridley.
You listened
I
to
was-
me. Yes.
I also started AJ Brown over Metcalf. So
Oh, why? Why did you do that?
because you
I
guys
mean-
told you both of you said AJ. One of you said AJ Brown and Metcalf, and Dylan you said AJ Brown and Ridley.
I'm
So
chilling.
I just took the AJ Brown and went with whoever I thought would be better.
Ridley
Yeah.
really fucking popped off. I'm proud of
So
my
you
guy.
both are bad. But
You know what I should have said? I should have said Metcalf and Ridley, because that game was like the chalk for DFS. That game was going to be like crazy, and I just missed it. I should have said DK and Ridley. And DK was the third among. I mean, DK did not perform that much, but because he dropped a very easy touchdown, another easy touchdown. Otherwise, DK would have also a great game.
Mhm.
back to CeeDee Lamb, I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by his week 1. I feel like he definitely was. Feel like he definitely was better than Gallup that game. I feel like Cooper still was a little bit better, and he definitely got. I think Cooper got the majority of targets,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it definitely was encouraging for me for CeeDee Lamb from week 1 because I was, as you said, worried about that them all being there and it being crowded. But he definitely looked like he outperformed, and he was the wide receiver 2 in week 1. So it's promising.
I thought he looked good, and if Dak's there, I like him. So I think we should move on here to the running backs. Maybe pick up the pace a little bit, all of us. So CH and JT, they both smashed, but it's kind of like opposite day, kind of like my glasses are right now, because like what the hell? So CH, I don't think he caught a ball. I think he had a few targets. And then Jonathan Taylor caught 6. Honestly, that might if you told me they were going to lose to the Jags,
Reverse effect. Reverse effect.
Rivers effect. I know. We were so concerned about Jonathan Taylor catching passes, but Philip Rivers is going to make him into fucking Alvin Kamara, whether he wants to be or not. All right, seriously though, here both of them are good, and I think for me and CH is still probably the top dog.
Oh yes.
But I think it's way closer for both of us now since Marlon Mack went down with injury. It has to be good for them. It has to be closer.
Yeah, I mean it's great for JT, but when you say real close, it's not still very, very close for me.
Okay.
I still have a tier break from CH to JT. I think CH is just crazy good, and his ceiling is much, much higher.
Going into week 1, I had Jonathan Taylor above Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a very good performance. His stock went up. But Jonathan Taylor's stock also went up, so I still have Jonathan Taylor slightly above Edwards-Helaire.
To be
You
fair,
are a Colts fan.
And
yeah,
and
Your
he, no,
vote doesn't
it's
count. No,
it's
no,
not
it does
just
not
that.
count.
See,
Shut up. I'm just
see, it's because of the Marlon Mack injury.
Yes.
You look at that, and all of a sudden, sure, Nyheim Hines is there, but going in, most people had Edwards-Helaire and Jonathan Taylor ranked really close in Dynasty. They were putting Edwards-Helaire. The only reason Edwards-Helaire was slightly above Jonathan Taylor for most people was because he was going to be the clear lead back this season. Because Damien Williams had opted out. So with Marlon Mack out now for the season, the same exact opportunity almost is opened up for Jonathan Taylor. Sure, Nyheim Hines will get some passing down work, but I mean, there's a lot more opportunity there than there was before, and that's the reason. Dylan, you're arguing that there's less opportunity than before.
No.
No, what I'm arguing is that that's not the same situation because Hines is better than fucking Daryl Williams or whatever his head ass name is.
Okay, if you are taking Jonathan Taylor that high, I think Dobbins. I will go for Dobbins now.
Dude,
I mean, Dobbins stock should also rise, right?
Dude, fuck
Because
it. I'm going James Robinson over them all.
Yeah, because Dobbins, did you think that Dobbins will perform that well in week 1? No. He just, I think all the running backs stock went up except for Akers and Swift.
It was
poor guys.
If you follow me on Twitter, the reason why I'm worried about CEH, I know you follow me, so don't get back at me.
I unfollowed actually.
The reason I posted it way back in June. I had a thread about the situation being overrated in Kansas City because they, as contrary to popular belief, they didn't target their running backs as much as people think they do. In the playoffs, they did. Sure, targeted Damien Williams a crap ton, but I mean, it really wasn't there for the most of the season. So, I mean, I feel like Jonathan Taylor showing out in the receiving department, we know that he can get better in the running game. That's definitely possible. I feel like Edwards-Helaire, he showed out on the ground, sure, but that receiving game is the question mark. I feel like that's a bigger question mark for me than Jonathan Taylor running.
No, it is not.
Running better.
Why is it a bigger question mark? They were, just I think he ran a lot of routes. He just did not get targeted. It's just 1 week. Just wait. I think Clyde, Mahomes has talked about it so many times that he thinks Clyde is. They chose Clyde because of the pass catching work that he has. I'm not concerned at all.
I am worried though because last season, the Chiefs' top 3 combined running backs had like 70 catches. There were 7 running backs in the NFL that had 70 plus catches on their own. So, I mean, is the receiving work really going to be there?
Yeah,
because Patrick Mahomes has
maybe
so
he'll
many
not have 100 catches, but 60 catches, 50 catches. 50 catches is a very good number, right?
What if Jonathan Taylor gets 50 catches? You still taking CEH?
Yes, because
he has
CEH will have more yards and touchdowns. CH will have much more touchdowns than Jonathan Taylor. You are underselling the touchdown part.
I actually think
Um,
JT could finish higher. Like that's not like impossible to say. You know what I mean? Like I get it. I'm in
the
between you guys.
touchdowns.
Yeah, but
The touchdown
Siege had
opportunities.
6 goal line carries. Jonathan Taylor had 1.
For -2 yards.
That's
And
okay. It will
he
come.
had
he
It will
ran
six.
come.
25 times. He had 6 goal line carries. Jonathan Taylor ran 9 times.
It's 1 week. Don't overreact. Let's just
Yeah.
wait and see.
Mhm.
We
We
have
should move.
CH. You have Jonathan Taylor. You are a Colts fan. We don't care about your views on Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
You just can keep it with yourself, and we'll get back to this.
Both
In,
will be
say, 4
good.
weeks.
We can move
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Both will be great.
Um,
Let's talk about James Robinson, though.
yeah, sure.
I mean, what do you think? I think he looked good. I think I could, invest some in him. I'm not obviously paying a lot because he could be replaceable next season. But this season, I think he has some opportunity. He showed well. He also caught that ball very well. So, what do you think, Trenton and Dylan?
I'll start off. He looked good in that game. I never heard of the guy before then, but he had 6 evaded tackles with a 35% juke rate. No goal line attempts, no big runs here. Tweet by Dave Wright, FF_spaceman on Twitter. Thank you, Dave. So he looked pretty good. I mean, honestly, we'll see though. I think my concern is Raquel Armstead and Divine Zigbo coming back. Now he did ball out enough to the point where it surprised me if they went, man, we got to get Raquel Armstead the fucking ball now.
Yeah, I don't think Raquel Armstead is a thing anymore. Maybe Ozigbo a little bit, but Raquel is gone.
Raquel's the one they drafted. I don't know. We could see. I just feel like the competition's going to get more and more, and the Jaguars are going to be such a bad team, except playing the Colts on week 1 because they've never won a game since 2008, an opener. I don't know why I know that, but you know what I mean. We'll have to see with James Robinson. I'm definitely more on the side of sell him because I hate these assets that I don't know their long-term future, and I like getting anything I can for them. Now, is selling week 1 the answer? Yeah, you could probably hold till Raquel Armstead comes back and then see what you can get for fun, But I'm probably more sell heavy than you both. I've never heard of the guy before. We talk about how important talent is here on the pod. Never heard of the guy, but you guys weren't talking about James Robinson. Like, let's be realistic. And now we could have fucking whiffed, but talent's very important to me.
I feel like
Yeah,
he's definitely someone to keep an eye on, but he is. I mean, honestly, he is an undrafted rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason. There has to be a reason that he wasn't drafted. Sure, he performed really well. Is that sustainable? If it is, I'm all for it. You go out and get him. But I mean, I'm worried that maybe it isn't. Maybe he just had that one good game. There's that one Patriots running back that had the one game of like
Jonas Gray, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Jonas Gray,
Patriots legend.
And then he was gone. Nobody heard from him after that. Nobody heard of him before that. Could this be like a much lesser version of that game?
Yeah. Remember J.J. back-to-back 200 rushing yard games? Now he's fucking playing. I think it's FIFA. I think he's a fucking FIFA player. Okay, like
let's not trash people. Let's just talk about current. We are already running short of time.
Yeah.
No need to go to JJ. Poor guy. Let him play.
I know. I managed to slip JJ into the pod. I don't know. I get your point on James Robinson.
If you're watching
though.
this, Jay, we're sorry.
Well, 2 of us are sorry. Anyways, we can move on, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want to include 2 guys in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main one to talk, I kind of want to talk about though, we should probably just keep it one, is Cam Akers. Cam Akers, he got probably, how many touches did JT get? 9 carries, 6 catches, so that's 15. I think he was tied. I think he had 14 rushes, 1 catch, so they're both actually tied for the most volume in week
15
2.
15 rushes and 1 catch, I think.
Yeah, something like that. They were really close.
It was 14.
Yeah. I think it was 14. Who cares? It was a lot of volume, which I feel like he had the job most wide open. The problem is Malcolm Brown completely outplayed his ass. And I do think everyone agrees on that. I think we're putting a little too much on Cam Akers because I felt like Malcolm Brown had better blocking and I felt like the screen passes he caught and the receiving work he had were like the most basic screen passes that anyone could catch. Now, Malcolm Brown did still look better. Fun fact here, I want to go back to the Spaceman stat. I literally found it scrolling through here on the pod. And this is kind of where we want to bring in the point. Cam Akers and Swift are often debated next to each other. Swift had 0 evaded tackles, 0 big runs, 0% juke rate, and 1 goal line attempt. Meanwhile, Cam Akers had 3 evaded tackles with a 20% juke rate, which is even better than Dobbins' 14% juke rate, better than Jonathan Taylor's 13% juke rate. CH had 36% juke rate. Zach Moss had 0% juke rate. Gibson had 18% juke rate. And James Robinson had 35. So that's just kind of perspective of how those backs were elusive. Fair? So, I don't know. It was just... So he looked pretty bad. He broke... I think he had a nice spin move. It wasn't like a sexy game. He didn't have a long play. The volume's nice, though. The one concern, though, I have is Darrell Henderson. He was kind of injured. He played. But does he get more of a role? And, I mean, if they keep beating Cam Akers 15 touches, he's going to break out eventually. And I feel like the confirmation bias and be like, oh, we drafted this guy round 2. We have to give him more touches because he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about his performance?
I have no worries about Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
The worry that I have is that Malcolm Brown looked very good, and the money touches, the goal line touches, Malcolm Brown is not going to cede that touches to Akers anytime soon. Maybe after 4, 6, 7 games probably. And the other thing is third down. Third down, it was most of the time it was Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, I was dumb.
Catches. Yeah, I don't know. He looked
fine.
I watched the whole game. I think Malcolm Brown was clearly the best runner, and even the best player with ball in his hand. Even in that screen game, I mean, he's not very smooth in catching the ball, but how much smoothness do you need for a screen game? But after the catch, he was very good. He was looking at the holes properly. He was, running behind the blocks, and those stuff was really good to see. Whereas Akers, when he was getting the ball, he was a bit flustered. Like as soon as he got the ball, he was like, I just have to slam and ram someone in front of me. So he was just, lowering his head. Yeah, he was lowering his head and slamming onto someone, getting three yards every time. So that was the problem. And maybe it's just week 1. That's why he's a rookie. It's week 1. Probably he'll get more maturity later. He's a good talent anyways.
Yeah.
But I am more concerned about Akers than Swift, because Swift has the role carved out for him. He's the third down back for sure.
The touches were pretty good though. If you told me Akers got 15 touches, I would have actually been happy. It's just how it looked was bad. Yeah. So I think he faces the Eagles next week, which is also pretty tough. We'll see. Do you have anything to add about Akers, Stratton?
Yeah, just like Sanatin said, he didn't get those goal line opportunities, so his touchdown upside is definitely going to be capped. I feel like Malcolm Brown is definitely their go-to goal line back, and honestly, from what we saw in week 1, he could be their go-to third down back as well. So, I mean, maybe it's just Cam Akers on the first 2 downs and not even at the goal line. That could be his role, and that's really puts a cap on his upside.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The upside is looking kind of bad right now. I hope they use him more, even in just pass protection, because I thought his pass protection at Florida State looked solid, and that'd be a good way to grow him. But
you know what would be bad? I have a feeling, it's just a bad feeling, but I have a feeling that in mid-season they will extend Malcolm Brown for 2 years, like 8 million.
If they do that, I quit. The one comment I want.
That would be such a Rams move, and he'll come cheap, and I mean he looked good. So probably if they do that, Akers' value is just going to tank, and I have a feeling that 25% chance it happens.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So I feel.
Hold up.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I think. Are you wanting to move on to the next segment? Or are you?
Yeah, I was gonna make one comment, and then we're moving on.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead. I'll move on.
So my one point is that I think between Dobbins, Swift, and Akers, they're all pretty semi-close. You know what I mean? I feel like the next one who's gonna break out, because we're already kind of talking about this JT, the CEH breakout. I feel like the next one who's gonna break out is because of an injury in the backfield or something. I just have a feeling these guys are all so close that's just going to come down to who gets the touches first.
Just last comment. They are not at all close for me. Dobbins has clearly separated himself from the other two. Clearly.
Why? Because
And we'll see
he
that
averaged
moving forward.
3.7 yards per carry in the second half. He just got 2 goal line carries.
Are you just looking at the yards per carry? He got a lot of touches, like 10 touches. We did not think that he will get it that soon. He's also what was the yards per carry for Akers?
They were
It was worse,
they
right?
were similar, but you know what offense is better?
No, we are not talking about yards per carry here.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Opportunity. Look at the offense. I think Ravens have a lot more rushing upside. So we'll see. I think Dobbins is clearly in a better position than the other two.
Yeah.
But let's move on.
Can you stand up for a
Alright,
second? Just
move.
stand up a little bit more.
Me?
Yeah. Just stand up slightly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Just down a little bit more at the camera. I'm just trying to show off your Ravens logo since you're giving Trenton shit about Jonathan Taylor. That's all.
No, I told everyone that since he's
we like to bust each other's balls here.
I'm not
so.
putting Dobbins
How about
number
JJ
one.
Taylor?
I'm not putting Dobbins
Fucking
number
goat.
1. He's number 3.
Yeah, all
Not
right.
number 1.
All right, let's move on here, like Trent promised. So our next section's gonna go kind of rapid fire. If you guys want to spend more time on this next time, leave a comment down below, and we'll maybe break it down more in depth next week. But we'll literally do this just like Tinder. A quick swipe, left or right. So right means buy, or left means sell. Okay. So buy right, left sell. I'm gonna read off these names, and you guys are gonna tell me.
We each will say right or left, right? So start with Dylan, then I will say, and then Trenton third.
Actually, let me go last since I'll be saying the names. So
Okay.
Trenton first, and then you second. Okay. So welcome to Tinder time. Woo! Corey Davis.
Trenton, you're first now.
Okay. I thought you were first. Okay, I'll go. Let's do this. Corey Davis, I am swiping left because AJ Brown.
I am swiping right because rookie, contract year, value will go up.
You know what? I'm swiping right too. I feel like Corey Davis was a really nice buy low, and I didn't talk about it enough on the pod of how I felt about him. So I don't know. He looked good. Jamison Crowder.
I'm gonna swipe right here, just because there isn't much competition there, and Denzel Mims is gone.
Yeah, swipe right for production, but I think his value is very high in Dynasty. I'm not going to buy right now. So swipe left that way.
Ooh. I'm actually enjoying the segment. Anyways, I'll actually buy him because I think he could be low-key like one of those league winners. Gotta get peppered. Robbie Anderson in Carolina.
Similar situation with Corey Davis. I'm gonna swipe left just because DJ Moore is there, and McCaffrey. I mean, he's got to get those targets too. That's got to go up.
Swipe left. He's a deep target. I don't think what Teddy Bridgewater can do that every week. Raiders defense was trash. That's why he could do it. So swipe left. Sell now.
Swipe left for me too. Fuck it. I love DJ more than I love my wife. So there's that. Ronald Jones, he was a workhorse. Probably surprised us all. What do you think, Trent?
I'm gonna swipe left. I don't think that's sustainable. I do think Leonard Fournette is the best talented back on that roster. He just didn't get the touches because he wasn't acclimated with the team. So I think he gets that more.
Swipe left. Exactly what Trenton said.
You know what? Screw it. I'm going to swipe right because I think Leonard Fournette looked bad and Ronald Jones looked good. But if there's a swipe neutral, I'd probably be that, but just for fun. All right, Malcolm Brown. I mean, Akers, Cardi already talked about him. We don't need to break that down too much. Go ahead.
Malcolm Brown, I'm going to... honestly, I might swipe right on this because everybody's thinking that... I mean, sure, he is... He's one of those guys that is both a buy now and a sell now. I mean, it's weird. Like he just had a huge performance. His what is it? Value is high, but I mean, it could go up even more. He looked really good. I don't know. So I'm just gonna swipe right.
Swipe right if you are getting if the player is not sure if he can sustain. Swipe left if someone comes around and they're like, oh, I'll pay so much for Malcolm Brown, a first. I'll sell for a first.
Yeah, I don't. I kind of agree. It depends. I guess I'll say sell because we're talking dynasty, and do we think Malcolm Brown's going to be a long-term asset? I wouldn't bet on it. Maybe you guys will because you're a little lower on Akers, but that's fine. Final guy, Dallas Goedert.
I'm also swiping right here. I'm going to buy him because I feel like that game kind of symbolized the changing of the guard. I think he's moving into that tight end 1 role for the Eagles. He'll be with Wentz for a while, and I feel like he has top 5 tight end upside for the next few years, at least.
Yeah, I'm swiping left. His value is way too high for me, way too rich for me right now. He's not cheap. Like in Dynasty, he has always been high, and now it's even more higher. I'm not buying right now. Maybe mid-season when other pass catchers come back, he will get like 4 targets. Then I'll buy him.
I don't know. I'm gonna super like because I never realized this was an option till now. Remembering my Tinder days, I super like Dallas Goedert a lot. I think he could be a good buy, but I also realize he's expensive. So he's one of those more luxury buys. I'll say that. You know what I mean? He's my Ferrari. But with Zach Ertz's contract talks, we'll have to see. I mean, people have been waiting for this shit for years, and he's been producing doo-doo numbers. Maybe it finally happens.
Ertz is staying. They are not letting go of Ertz. He's best friends with Wentz. That Eagles office loves him way too much for this to happen.
How old is Ertz now? Isn't he like 30 something?
Yeah, he's 30. Kelsey is 31. He's still younger than Kelsey.
Oh, didn't know that.
Still,
the more you know.
a year younger than Gronk too. So they're all kind of around the same age.
What's Gronk? Come on. We gotta put Gronk in those fantasy freak out performances.
Yeah.
Jeez.
With that being said, that's Tinder time. I actually really enjoyed that segment. We'll talk about that after.
Me too.
That was actually
I
kind
think
of fun.
this rapid fire is the best.
Good way to close it.
Yeah. Good way for Tinder thing.
Dude, Tinder time was fun. We're doing that shit next week out here. So with that being said, I hate asking, but please subscribe, guys. You get more subscriptions if you ask. Please like. If we ask you to comment during something and you've been listening this far, please fucking comment because you're a true fan, and we want to make the show based around what you like. So remember, subscribe. I all it is a button, and if you subscribe, you'll get a chance to get a hug from me. So there's that. I think that's
Don't say that. No one will subscribe, please. No hugs from Dylan, please.
Yeah,
subscribe.
you're right. An elbow because of COVID. I'll give you an elbow.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have here. Anything else, guys?
No, I mean we don't have enough subscribers. Please subscribe. We are friendly people. If you ask something, we'll respond. And also follow us on Twitter. Help as much as you can.
I think we're close to 69 fucking subscribers, so please help a brother out. That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
Nice. And that being said, have a good one, everybody.
Good night. Bye.